Hello, my friends. How are you today? How's everyone doing? Welcome to 30 Albums for 30 Years, 1964 through 1994, where we take a look at the most impactful albums between those years, and we do it chronologically. I am your host, Jay Sweet. Today, the Lovin Spoonful, Do You Believe in Magic? Karma Sutra Records, recorded June through September of 1965, released November of 1965. Let the magic begin. Let's check it out. Let me begin today's episode by asking you two questions. Number one, would you like a spoonful of love? And number two, do you believe in magic? Well, if so, the Lovin Spoonful is the band for you. On February 9th, 1964, magic was everywhere when the Beatles appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time, and millions of viewers saw and heard the Beatles. It was the first time they got to see this phenomena. And additionally, magic was made when New York singer, guitarist, harmonica player, and songwriter John Sebastian met Canadian-born guitarist and vocalist Zal Yanovsky at Cass Elliott's apartment from the Mamas and the Papas for a party to watch the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. The Beatles' performance heavily affected these young musicians, and they decided to see if they too could create music together. Their earliest vision was to work as an electric jug band, but they did not do that. They decided then to recruit Steve Boone to play bass guitar and keys. At the time, Boone worked in several bands in Long Island, including the Kingsmen. Boone then suggested a friend who was a fill-in drummer for the Kingsmen named Jan Carl. Carl was also the manager of the Bull's Head Inn, located in Bridgehampton, Long Island. And when the inn closed for the winter, the group began to rehearse there. While not working with his new band, John Sebastian also played harmonica with people like Judy Collins, Fred Neil, Jesse Colin Young, and others. In early 1965, the band was ready to perform but still needed a name, and they settled on the name Lovin Spoonful, a reference to song lyrics heard in Coffee Blues, a song by Mississippi John Hurt, a musician Sebastian had previously worked with. The group then found a 2-week residency at the Night Owl in Greenwich Village in January. After the 2 weeks were up, the group's contract was not extended, mainly because they were too loud for the folk venue. Soon after, the group fired Jan Carl. You're fired! What? And it was at this time that they began to get noticed for playing in this newer folk rock style. During their second stint at the Night Owl, John Sebastian wrote, "Do You Believe in Magic?" Knowing that they had a strong song, they recorded a demo and shopped it to record companies, and they found a deal with Karma Sutra Records. The label then released Do You Believe in Magic in July of 1965, and the song quickly became a national hit. The group then began to appear on popular television shows like American Bandstand and The Merv Griffin Show. They then toured the U.S., and they went on to record their debut album, Do You Believe in Magic, from June to September 1965. The album paired original material with blues and jug band standards. It did not chart particularly well, but remained on the charts for 19 weeks, despite never reaching any higher than 71. Now this is very interesting. The group was then offered a musical comedy series on NBC called The Monkees, but the band did not wish to choose its name or give up that level of control, and they refused. And NBC assembled another group of musicians to create the highly successful band and series, The Monkees. Following the release of Do You Believe in Magic, the group continued to tour and record. With their highly successful follow-up record, Daydream, the press began to speculate about the group's drug usage and their name, which they felt might reference the usage of heroin, but of course it did not. Now, being watched closely, Boone and Yanovsky were arrested for marijuana possession in 1966, and under pressure from the district attorney, the two decided to cooperate with authorities to avoid lengthy jail time. And they gave up their source, their drug dealer, if you will. When it became known that they cooperated with the law, which is a very un-rock and roll thing to do, the underground press began to be critical of the band's bowing down to authority. And many fans began to turn their backs and boycott the Lovin Spoonful. Despite tensions between the band regarding the drug arrest incident, the Spoonful continued to perform, but not lovingly anymore, as fighting within the band continued, especially between John Sebastian and Zal Yanovsky. Tensions led to Yanovsky's firing in 1967. Jerry Yester replaced Yanovsky, but the band struggled to deal with the new musical trends of psychedelic rock. Sebastian called it quits in 1968, and the band that once had a Lovin Spoonful of hits was no more. John Sebastian went on to have a pretty successful solo career and performed at Woodstock. Zal Yanovsky tried to make it as a solo artist but struggled to record a hit, and eventually moved to work as a chef and restaurateur. The Spoonful did reunite, but only twice, once in 1979 and again in 2000 when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.